Hello and welcome back to another Project Diablo 2 video. I am Kordesh and today we are going to be talking about 5 quick tips to gain wealth in Project Diablo 2. Tip number 1, know the value of runes. Alright, so often you will see 1 high rune, 2.2 high runes, that's different prices. And if you do not know the value of what a high rune is, or what that means, you will be overpaying for the items that you're trying to acquire, or when you are trading away your items, you'll be underpaid. So let's go ahead and fix that. Right here is Lucky Luciano's PD2 Season 4 rune prices. So these are not completely up to date, but some of these will still be very relevant and accurate. So the Zod is generally set at 1 high rune, and I really like to think of this as in dollar amounts. So a Zod is a $1 bill, whereas a Worldstone shard is a penny. Most trades are going to be around the to ist trade range. So an is a nickel, a mal is a dime, an ist is 15 cents, and a gull is a quarter. With this knowledge, you can do things like, hey, I don't have an but I can try and offer 5 Worldstone shards. And if they don't really want Worldstone shards, you could offer 6. So being able to calculate these things where you can give them the same amount of what a high rune value is for their item without having the specific thing. So they might want a mal, but you might have an and a pull, and that might be good enough. Just because having more runes, maybe they want more of it broken up so they can buy more things with that and with that pull. So that's it for tip number 1. Tip number 2, use a loot filter. What is a loot filter and how do you activate one? So on the launcher, go to item filter profiles and you can pick from these loot filters. I highly recommend Crizard's and the item.filter. So once you choose that as your item filter, you can go in game and control left click this and then go to item, and then you have the filter level. So starting off, you should have this set to a lower number, so showing all items or hiding the trash items, and then as you get further and further into the game, you want to up this. And the main appeal and reason for this, the more time you spend looking at the ground with cluttered garbage items, the less time you are farming for items or playing the game or doing other relevant things. It just looking at trash items on the ground is a waste of your time, and loot filters helps you avoid wasting your time. Tip number 3, price your items to move quickly. I think the best way to showcase this is just go through an example. So currently I have this Trang's armor and it has +2 to blood warp, which doesn't really matter. So let's go ahead and get to the trade site. Now if we look up Trang scales, we see mal or 12 Worldstone shards, 10 Worldstone shards, mal. So we know that a mal is worth a dime, an is worth a nickel, and a Worldstone shard is worth about a penny. So I'm looking through and we see 5 Worldstone shards is kind of the cheapest, with a pull maybe being a little bit cheaper than that, being at 3. So I'm going to list this at 3 Worldstone shards. So we go ahead, copy to the clipboard, and we're going to go ahead and manage trades, create the trade, 3 Worldstone shards, that's it. I am pricing it to move. So yeah, do that. Try and look for the cheapest one and then undercut that. Make sure you get Worldstone shards. Currently, right now I have 15 on hand. These are very, very good because I've literally bought all of my skillers by offering 5 Worldstone shards each. So it just allows you to liquidate things faster and then buy stuff that you need. And you can overpay with Worldstone shards because people seem to not value them as highly. But that also works in your favor, so you can move things for cheap and get Worldstone shards easily out of other players. I wanted to note that this actually sold before I finished even recording the video. So pricing your stuff to move does work. Tip number 4, share loot with friends. I think a very good example of this is my friend is playing his Golemmancer like he always is, and he was missing a Cham rune. And me and my friend who was playing a Barbarian at the time, we had some runes of value that we weren't really using. We weren't sure what we wanted to buy, and we were kind of stuck in the middle. So we ended up getting him his Chamrune and hooking him up so he could make his Golem Wand, and that increases his clear speed and Magic Find. So anything that he finds, he's going to pay us back, and it just gets the entire group farming faster and shares the love. And it's really important, and it's honestly just a lot of fun to do it like this. So I would highly recommend finding some trustworthy friends and go ahead and share some loot. Tip number 5, farm efficiently. When it's time to farm, you really need to just farm efficiently. So do not idle in town. Know what content is good for your character and your gear level, and then plan to farm it for a certain amount of runs or a certain time frame. I would also recommend timing your runs to figure out if this is working or if it's not. If you find yourself struggling and killing things too slowly, you need to find a different farm so you can efficiently farm. Now, if your gear is absolutely terrible, it is okay to farm Mephisto and the cows in Nightmare difficulty. You need to figure out what works for you. Currently my gear is pretty good, but before I was hanging out here in Frigid, and what I would do is I would just pop Eldritch, and I would go down and I would pop Shank, and I found this to just be one of the quickest and most efficient farms, as well as the cow map. And I did this for quite a bit of time until I found some stuff to improve my gear and move on to harder content. And we have one final bonus tip. Corrupt your maps. This tip is a little bit more relevant for players that have advanced their character to be able to farm maps quickly and effectively, but World Stone Shards are pretty plentiful and the corruptions are very good. So if we look at the experience 13, monster density 213, and 75, if we go ahead and slam a corruption, now we're up to 275 and 130 magic find, and that is fantastic. So I wanted to bring up the corruptions list and go to map corruptions. So let me zoom in a little bit. The big thing here is increasing density or magic find is very, very useful because most skills in the game are area of effect. And so if you increase the density, it doesn't actually impact your clear speed very often. And that means you are killing more monsters, and more monsters mean more chances at loot and high runes. So this is a very cheap and effective way to make your maps from pretty damn awesome to phenomenal. I highly recommend doing this, especially if you're doing tier 3 maps. If you are enjoying my content, I'd really appreciate if you would hit that subscribe button, mainly so I don't have to spam Reddit or Discord or anywhere else, and you could just get my videos whenever I post them. So that's it for the tips. If you have a tip of your own that you want to share, feel free to leave it in the comments, and I'll see you next time.